welcome to the Himalayas as we go on a search for the infamous abominable snowman, or Yeti. Now, this particular venture we have a sponsor for, which is lovely, nice little benefactor in the name of GamesQuest, who care about you and your games as much as you do. And you know it's true, because they said so on the internet. Gamesquest.co.uk. Check them out. Now, Yeti first came to my attention at the UK Games Expo in Birmingham. It was one of the massively oversized games that they sometimes have at these shows. So the dice were gigantic, people were kicking them around in order to roll them. They looked like they were having fun, but I think it seemed to me that most of the fun came from kicking the dice around rather than actually playing the game. So, interesting to see what the game is like in its proper tabletop version. And the first thing that struck me when putting this together is it's a pretty substantial sized box. And having seen the oversized one, there's a mountain that goes in the middle. So here we have this fairly substantial box, and this is the mountain. It doesn't exactly live up to expectations for what is a large box. I mean, I appreciate it's not going to be like the big giant one that was at the expo, but I don't know, I was expecting something a little bit more than that, especially when it actually comes to playing the game, as you'll see as I take you through it. So, game setup. I have to take these off. Setup is really easy. Mountain goes in the middle around the board is effectively a two-piece jigsaw, and each player chooses a base camp to go along with their colour and goes around the board. Players roll dice, so have your dice tray handy. This isn't really a thinking game. You're not going to need a thinking pipe. Pipe does come in handy for pointing. Who plays games without a pipe? So, you've got your picture track, which I'll come to. You've got your equipment tiles, which again I'll come to. So, this is your basic setup. You also have this tile, which is supposed to indicate who's currently the lead player, but in real terms, don't need it. Also have weather tiles, which is really for an advanced game. Didn't like these. Didn't like them at all. But anyway, so that's the basic setup. Your board, your base camps, your photo track and equipment tiles, and weather cards if you're going to use them. Birmingham. So, in order to play the game on your turn, you pick up the dice, you roll them. The dice have different symbols on, which are pretty self-explanatory and thematically spot on. The key though is the snow ones. If you roll a snow, you can't get rid of it. You can't replace it. You have to keep the snow. So they come out. You also then have the option to take anyone. You always must keep one, plus obviously any snow tiles. So if you don't want to keep the ones you've got, you can choose to re-roll them. So you roll them. If you get more snow, you keep the snow. You then keep other ones that you may want to get, with be it coins or footprints, shapers or tents. So snow gets in your way. it's a blizzard, it's a hazard, it can stop you moving on. You can't re-roll snow dice, you have to keep them. It's not necessarily a bad thing though. If you roll less, at the end of all your rolls, if you've rolled less than 3 snow, you're okay. It has no effect. If you roll 3 at the end of your turn, you can change one of them to any symbol you like. If you roll more than 3 then, it's a blizzard. And in a blizzard, the Yeti gets to move, and this is where the Yeti can catch up with the players as they move around the victory point track. If you've rolled more than 3, I'd say, as well as the Yeti moving, something else that happens when you roll more than 3 is that any snow dice above 3 goes on your cheat sheet. Yeah, every player starts with a simple cheat sheet that helps them through the game. It's self-explanatory. Which means the next player around obviously will have less dice to roll until it comes back around to that player again, who then returns the dice that they've taken out the game to the roll. Again, that's only for dice over 3. Coins are what you use to purchase equipment or photographs. Some equipment has repeat effects, some equipment is a one-hit deal and goes back on sale again. Photographs wise, 1 coin can get you a simple sketch, like a child's drawing of the Yeti. 2 coins, a picture taken on a cell phone, and so on and so forth, up to 7 coins, which is like a TV camera quality film of the Yeti. Broadcast quality, I suppose, is what they'd say. The better the quality of the picture, the more victory points it earns you, and obviously moves you further around the track. Birmingham. Sherpas help you climb the mountain. They're your guides. 1 Sherpa gets you up to level 1. 3 Sherpas to level 2. 6 Sherpas get you to the peak. When you reach the peak, the first player to the peak gets a bonus. Well, every player that gets to the peak gets a bonus, but you can only claim the bonus once. Also, the higher up the mountain you are, acts as a multiplier to your footprint scores or victory points. Footprints in this game are the victory points because that's what's leading you to find the Yeti. So the higher up the mountain you are, the higher the multiplier on your footprint rolls or for your score. At the end of every turn though, you must always return to a base camp, which is where the tent symbols come in. If you have a tent symbol, you can camp on the level. If you have 2 tents, you can camp on that level. And it means at the start of your next turn, if you've got to that level along with your camp, you get to stay there till the start of your next turn. You roll your dice. So for example, in this case, as you're starting on level 2, it would only take 1 Sherpa to reach the peak. However, if no tents were rolled, then at the end of the turn, base camp returns to the foot of the mountain. Conceptually, this seemed like a good idea at the time. The other thing, obviously, on the dice as well as on the cards is footprints. Footprints are what we're using to track the Yeti, and that's the point of the game. More footprints, more victory points, closer to success. So that, in essence, is all there is to it. It's a very simple idea and a very simple game. It's designed for 2 to 5 players. However, in my playthroughs, 5 players is an absolute nightmare. The game takes far too long. This is a fun, quick game, but to be a fun, quick game, 3 players is really the limit. Even 4 players and it drags. 5 players, horrendous. 2 player, not enough to it. There's not enough interaction. We're just going backwards and forwards between 2 players. And in that regard, that's really what lets it down, because you can see what this is meant to be. This is meant to be a fun family game. But then, getting 4 players around the table to play it, or 5 players, it stops being that fun family game. It becomes a drag. Birmingham. Yeah. The game's supposed to take 20 to 40 minutes. But with 4 or even 5 players, you're looking at over an hour. and there isn't enough in there to sustain that because it's not a particularly strategic game. Get coins early on. A couple of the equipment tiles that you can buy are a huge boon, and if you get them, you're pretty much on course to victory. And that in itself creates a problem because the other players soon learn that that's the way to go, and if they haven't succeeded in that, for the rest of the game they're just waiting for that other player to win. Doesn't mean that that player will always win. They're all, you know, we're talking about a dice roll game, so anything can happen, but it really does edge things in your favour. I'm obviously not going to spoil it by telling you which tiles to get, but that also limits replay value, because once you have a clear strategy in your head that that's the way the game's meant to be played, it's then difficult to change that mindset within yourself to play it a different way. It's certainly not a bad game, and it's good for young kids. It states for ages 8+, but kids under 8 can play it with assistance from a grown-up if an adult's willing to help them out. Obviously it needs to be a not particularly competitive adult. Advise your kids that they want all the coins when there's nothing left to buy. Some of you would do that. So be good to your kids, help them out. There are some issues as well. As I say, the box is huge. It's a big box. It's a big box. It's a big box. The box is huge. It's a big box for what is very few components. And the mountain is small. As I say, it causes problems when you're moving players because the players don't quite fit. And when you've got big clumsy hands, I've done that particularly well. But in a game situation when you're going back and forth and you move things up and down, it's I don't know, it just feels like the mountain should be that little bit bigger so the players can actually stop. Yeah. The mountain's not great. The other little components are great. The fact that these are shaped like a backpacking Himalayan expedition person, explorer, mountaineer, whatever. Quite cool. The Yeti cardboard, nice. The artwork's nice. I'd say it's not bad. The dice are nice. They've got nicely rounded. They're very lightweight, nicely rounded edges, so you're not going to get one of your little ones opening up a vein or an artery with the sharp edges. But that in itself causes the problems. We did find when we were playing that dice would balance on their end, on the rounded edges, which I've never seen before. And it does cause problems. You bang the table to make the dice fall one particular way, and obviously your base camp falls off the mountain. So little moments like that, not great. The weather tiles, what you're supposed to do with these if you're going to play with the weather tiles is take 3, randomly choose 3 to have a positive effect, 3 to have a negative effect, put them together, shuffle them up, put them at the side, and on the start of your turn, take the top one, flip it over, put it on the bottom, and then what's showing is the effect it has, and you basically just follow what it says on the card. It's self-explanatory. It adds something to the game when you've played it a few times and you think you've seen everything you got to see. It adds something to it and just gives it a little bit of something for that 1 or 2 more players. But I don't think it's enough to sustain it. In terms of its appeal, it's not one for your game group. Put this in the middle of your game table with all your mates around. The mountain's going to get lost. It's going to look ridiculous. It just doesn't have the gravitas to pull everybody in. And when you start playing it, as I say, it won't be long before, if you're playing with a group of 5, you're going to be praying for the game to end. So it's one for the family, particularly for little ones. There's enough in the dice rolling to keep little ones happy, even though they may not follow really the strategy, particularly in the case of young kids. But if you help them out, there's enough in the dice rolling to keep them occupied and get them out from under the table for a few turns, at least for a few games. Don't think it'll last long. I think once they played it 1 or 2 times, as I say, a strategy becomes clear and it loses some replay value. Not a terrible game, worth a play. I couldn't recommend buying it though, unfortunately. But if you are going to buy it, I say, Games Quest were very kind enough to give us this. So there you go. That's my opinion. Feel free to disagree. But either way, thank you for watching. Birmingham.